of these, put the word new in the chat. I really like to see who my newbies are. Terry, welcome. Holly, welcome. Yay. So good. Okay. So as some of you guys may or may not know, I have my notebook for the year. I always have a notebook every year, and every year there's a theme. There's a theme with me and there's a theme with you. But there's an underlining conversation of, I talked about this yesterday. I streamed yesterday and I talked about your identity, right? And you make the amount of money and you have the size of business or the profitability or the lifestyle. You have what you absolutely believe is true. And that you also, and what you also deserve, meaning that you believe you deserve it. So underneath that, what drives that is not just our motivations, but also our mindset. And so I hate the word mindset. I think it's so overused in the marketplace. I think a lot of us are like, yeah, I know. And we give advice to each other. But at the end of the day, I think it's lost its value, the word mindset. Any of you guys with me on that? Right? Say yes in the chat if you feel like it's kind of an overused word. And so what happens is the thing that we need so badly, we start to tune it out, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience before where you have somebody in your life that really hears you and you're able to make an impact with them. And then one day they just stop listening to you. Maybe some of you guys are parents that happens to, right? It's like they listen. It's so funny. My son has a new math teacher. Let me just share this a little bit and I'll get into the content. But he has a new math teacher and she's extraordinary at math. And there's another little boy that's about a year younger than my son. And he is in the same grade math, right? And my son used to be, a good 2 years ahead of his grade. And now he's about 1 year ahead of his grade in math. Kind of one of the benefits of private education, right? AKA homeschooling. And so when I private educate, I look at who are the best teachers for my son, and I don't need to have one homeschool teacher for all of it. I tried that. It's good, but I always see gaps. You guys hear what I'm saying? So he has this new homeschool math teacher, and I am not kidding you. My kid looks like an angel. Like, I mean, he is an angel, but he really looks like an angel. And he's like leaning into her and cuddling her and just almost like on her lap. And he's like 90 minutes, this kid focused on math and never got up. Like he was in it, right? And so his other homeschool teacher, it's like she has to wrestle him to get him to sit down. Like he's like, Mom, Dad, I need pizza, I need cherries, I'm hungry. And then, let me show you this thing on the iPad. It's totally different, right? Why is there one person, meaning that there's one person, meaning my son, and the same concept of homeschool. I want you to think about yourself for a second. And think about people in your life who also trigger you. How many guys have somebody in your life that is a little negative? Like put an N in the chat. Somebody in your life that's a little negative, put an N in the chat. It's really important that you comment, because if you comment, it actually tells other people that they're not alone. So if you believe in any sort of laws of the universe, I'm biblical, and I will tell you every universal law that has been marketed is actually out of the scriptures. You should learn all of them. Do you know what I mean? And you should learn to have the heart to not use them to gain more abundance, but actually use them to expand territory for other people. Whole nother life. But if you can't figure out why things don't work long-term, it's always a heart thing, right? Your motive matters. And when you've got negative people around you, you need to think about, at least to unhook you a little bit, there is a way to lead things differently so you get a different result out of them. Now, do you think that if you have an analytical person, I'm going to teach this on Friday, I'm going to teach style flex selling. I'll give you a little kind of snippet of it. Some of you guys have done our leadership program. You can only go stronger and stronger and stronger in this concept. But there are promoters, right? You have analyzers. I'm just going to put, you guys know what I mean. You have controllers and you have supporters, okay? And you must talk to them all differently. So analyzers, that's a really bad abbreviation of analyzer. Really bad one. But analyzers are, when they're out of their leadership, they do tend to be negative, but there is a value to them. Okay, there's a huge value to analyzers. For all the promoters that think that they bring them down, they don't bring you down, bring you down. You just don't know how to lead in a way yet with them. Okay, all my controllers are like, would you just freaking get to the point, analyzer? Right? It's like, no, like you're not getting the team controllers who do everything on your own and wonder why you can't expand or make more money because you're so effing busy every day. That's because you're out of control as a controller. So can you guys see how some of this value is big? And then some of these guys all like to look at these supporters as if they're all doormats, right? Like they don't use their voice, they do nothing for themselves, and you guys all like to just like, it's like, let's just look at these are the guys that need to be fixed. Meanwhile, these are the ones that can make so much money. It's unbelievable, because if these guys get stuck on why my product, service, or whatever is not selling, this person's already identified it. And not like the controller has made something up because they think they know all the time, and they usually do. But if you don't nail your sales pitch right to your right avatar, you will find that sales takes a long time. For all you guys who end up on 1 hour calls or 2 hour calls or doing a ton of lives and nobody still buys, you guys get what I'm saying? Yes? So this is highly valuable. I'm going to go through it on Friday. However, while I'm talking now, I'm saying that if I was using analyzers as an example, analyzers show up negative, and a lot of times all the rest of these personality quadrants tend to think that the analyzer is wrong. And it's probably the one that gets blamed most for negativity. And I'm telling you, you don't get to, like, God didn't make a mistake when they made the analyzer. Like, he just didn't make a mistake. And so if you keep trying to talk to them about changing their negativity, then I'm going to tell you something. You are not only taking away their boobs or their balls. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like you're taking away their femininity or their masculinity. You're not only just doing that, but you are suppressing them. And if anybody's ever had somebody in your life that has beat you or sexually assaulted you or verbally abused you, or maybe you've just had, maybe you kind of got through life and it was only a bully. Maybe you got through life, you had none of that. Congratulations. It wasn't in, you obviously didn't need it to make a difference in the world. Do you know what I mean? Because you, like, these things start to mold you, right? And so anybody who's had any of those experiences, you know, the thing is that when you're walking through life, it's really easy to say that these people need to change. And it's not going to happen. Okay. So you need to know how to lead them to put each of these people in their power, because you don't want to be a different version of a bully or a different version of somebody who suppresses someone. You don't want to do that. I'm reading a book right now for women. It's around the power of our speech, right? And how our speech not only creates, but like, I can see areas in my life that I used to suppress my husband without knowing it. Now I have a new one. You guys want to know what it is? Literally just saw it like 2 days ago. And then again, it was like the Holy Spirit is like in me talking to me about this. But the thing is, I don't feel bad about it. I'm actually so thankful. Do you know the days when you used to feel bad about, oh my gosh, I need to change. I need to be more ambitious. I need to be more urgent. I need to be like, that's the heart that got messed up somewhere, because it's actually a blessing when you see a blind spot or a character defect, because it means that you're ready to go to the next level. But if you shame it and make it wrong, then I can 100% tell you, and you guys on Instagram right now, Facebook, things like that, can you take a moment and share this live, post it, get it out there so that more people can really hear this? Because I feel like this message could really not just impact your space, but it could impact other people's. And when you really understand the law of reciprocity, it comes from an extraordinarily giving heart. So if you can take a moment and share this, post it on your stories, Instagram, whatever, and let's just bring some more awareness to this message, okay? So I'm going to start with dealing with a negative person, right? The truth is that there are 3 levels of atmosphere, or the Bible would say 3 levels of heaven, right? The first level is the atmosphere in which we live in. The second is, let's call it the universe. And the third is really what most people refer to as heaven. Okay. So quantum physics, whatever game you want to play, science, biblical, new age, whatever, they're all really saying the same thing in language, in different language, in different semantics. Okay. There's pieces of it that could be misleading or deceptive, or I always say the interpreter is what matters. So let's take our power back and just say that the way we interpret somebody else is our responsibility. Can we start there? Y'all, the way we interpret other people is our responsibility. It's not that we need to change the analyzer or the promoter or the controller. And until you get this, I'm telling you, being blessed with hundreds or thousands or millions of people to lead, you're going to find that you're going to work really hard and keep getting blocked. And you're getting blocked because it's, let's call it Spirit's way of stopping you from hurting people, because you are still maybe judging yourself or judging some people in your space. So, true story, wrote this down. A blind spot that I had, which is a blessing, complete blessing. It means I'm ready to move through it. How many of you guys have, maybe you're a controller or a promoter and you tend to be fast? Put fast in the chat if you tend to be fast. Put fast in the chat right now if you tend to be fast. Let's go. Okay, so my fast people are like fast, 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 right? And so I tend to be fast, and it has worked for me for a long time. But it has also created moments where I'm like, Mr. Analyzer husband, or analyzer. By the way, analyzers are actually incredible salespeople. But our sales director is an analyzer, right? A controlling analyzer. And so my marketing CMO analyzer. And it's like, I'm like, okay. Like, so what you're saying, Shanda, okay. It's like I have to play meditation music in the back, because I'm like, come on, let's go. I got another meeting. I got a dog to take out. I got to put pizza in the oven that I'm probably going to burn for my son. I got to do something, right? Like, I'm like, so I noticed this in language about 3 days ago, where I rolled up beside my mom on a golf cart, and I was running out to grab a bite to eat before this on-demand mastermind. This was, I think it was this week, it was like Monday. And my mom is walking our 2 dogs, her dog and our dog. And I'll give you the quick version of this. She doesn't have the chokers on them, and we've spent like $6,000 to like a dog to train them, right? And these dogs, like if you look at my dog and go, she's like, right? It's like she's awesome, right? And however, if you don't keep the dog working and you let her pull, before you know it, and she is a huge Labradoodle, like huge. She's huge. And she will pull your arm off, right? Like she is really, really strong. And so my mom's got both the dogs, and they're like, they're pulling her, and she's laughing, and I pull up and I'm in a hurry, right? And I run by her. For some of you guys know that I am in construction in my house in Puerto Rico, which is a whole story in its own. And so I don't really have like a kitchen, like everything's all torn up, right? And so I'm running out to go eat. So I don't have a house manager managing my stuff. Don't say boo-hoo, Shanda, because it is boo-hoo, because I have 3 companies that I work in. And, and eating healthy is a high value to me, because it's connected to my high performance, not to mention my health. Right? I had babies late in life. I don't want to be in a position where I can't ski with my son in, 15 years or 20 years from now. Right? So it's really important to me. So I've got to handle things I'm not used to in my day now. So I'm running out, see her with the dogs, and I stop, and she's all excited about taking the dogs for a walk together for the first time since we're back in Puerto Rico. And all I can say is, you don't have them on chokers. And so, what's the point in training them? Like, we might as well just what's the point? Like, what's the point in spending $6,000 to train the freaking dog if we're not going to be great owners? Like, you can't just let them. And then she's like, okay, I'll take them back to the house. And I drove away. And because she didn't fight me, I could self-reflect. So I want that to be the first thing. Somebody, I know I bought that for you. You're welcome. Somebody who, so like that would not normally happen with my house manager and people like that, right? So it's like, I just have to be in the messiness of it. And so notice the people who are negative in your life. And when you try and course correct them, right? How does that end up? Just like, let me know in the chat. How does it end up? Right? Never good, not good. Do you get in a fight? Like, do you get in a bit of like, is there tension? Right? Is there tension, you guys? Like fight, tension, blow up? Like, what does it look like? Or do they sulk, maybe get the cold shoulder? I don't know, right? But you can tell that it's not effective leadership. Can we agree on that? So my quick note to that, for the lack of the fact that you're not in a training room, like in hardcore leadership, right? Because that's like 3 days, 4 days, and then 90 days where we work with you to get really good at this stuff, right? So for the sake of that, I'm going to tell you, give yourself a note or Kabbalah yourself where you put a red string around your wrist or something that's a reminder, so that when you run into that person and they do what they do, it triggers you and you don't fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, put on a watch that you don't normally wear or something that can remind you, like, this is my reminder to stay grounded. Don't fight and watch what happens. They might be a really stubborn person and it takes a few times, but whatever. I'm telling you, you have to allow the space for them to self-reflect. And when you don't respond and you're like, okay, it completely changes it. You have to have two people to war, but it completely changes the dynamic. So just trust. Like, honestly, I'm telling you, I've had some of the most difficult people ever, and they will shift. Don't say anything, just like, okay, and just leave the space. Okay, so I'm going to leave that at that. Now let's talk about you. Okay, so this anxiety piece, right? I'll call it anxiety, this hurried energy, this fast energy. Okay, so some of you guys are married to people like me with fast energy, right? Or you might be them, or you got people in your space, so maybe you work with people like that. When it's really out of control, you can't get a word in edgewise. Okay, so I'm not there because I've just done a lot of leadership training, right? So that's not something that gets experienced in my space. However, what I'm experiencing on this next level, that was a huge blind spot for me. I talked to my girlfriend Sherry about this because she has the same thing, she said, and we're both high performers, right? And so first, my mom I was like, oh. And then I realized, I wrote this down. I actually went to Bible study this morning, and I brought my mom, and my mom forgot her sunglasses. And I'm going to tell you, in Bible study, it was 90 minutes, and I'm sitting there going, okay, you can end now. I got things to do. You can end now. Like, we don't need to keep talking about this. And it wasn't about the Bible. It was just like directions. It was the first meeting. I was like, we could have done this in like 40 minutes, right? And so I could feel what now I would call, instead of assertiveness, I would call it anxiety. Because that's really what it is. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Are you following me here? I don't know if this is going to help you, but I think it will. Okay. So I noticed this, so then she has to run back in to get her glasses. And I'm talking to Sherry in my golf cart, because we don't drive cars in Dorado Beach. We're all golf carts. We have these like luxury plush golf carts. And I'm talking to Sherry, and I was like, so like, I'm telling her this experience that I'm having where I'm noticing this. And she goes, I have the same thing. She goes, I just don't shut off my brain. It's like, and I tell myself, I got so many things to handle, so many projects. And that's the language piece. I want to ask you, what are you saying in your life right now on repeat? Write that down. What are you saying? Even write that question down if you haven't identified it yet. What are you saying in your life right now on repeat? So what Sherry says is, I've got so many projects. I've got this house and this house and this business and that business and, buying out my partner and like just, I got so many things, right? Now she's in Puerto Rico and she's looking to buy a house in Puerto Rico. And, there's just so much, right? It's just like, and so when there's so much, I got to move like that because I can handle it because I'm a controller, right? And so I just get it done. Does that resonate with any of you guys? So I'm talking to her. My mom, imagine this, is in the house where the Bible study happened. And I said to Sherry, I said, like, she's in that house right now getting her sunglasses. And all I want to do is jump out of the golf cart and just run and get her glasses because I'm sure she's talking to somebody. And I have a meeting in 10 minutes at the coffee shop in Encanto. And this always happens. If I just wait a minute, which is pure hell, I just wait a minute, I always know that whatever I'm trying to rush through happens like right after I get this feeling. Like I've noticed the way you become a great salesperson, a great marketer, a great CEO is to notice the patterns. So I'm smart enough to notice the patterns and not have a need to be right. Does that make sense? Like I know when something's working for me and when it's not, unless it's a blind spot. And this anxiety thing was a bit of a blind spot. So I waited and I said to her, if I wait a couple seconds, she'll walk out that door. No kidding. That's exactly what happens, right? So then we go to the coffee shop, drop Sherry off. She goes to her place. She goes actually to go look at a house. And I go to the coffee shop. I meet with the people I'm meeting, a new corporate coach and like all this stuff. And I'm done with that meeting. It's a nice, efficient meeting because he's smart. And he says, thank you. I say goodbye. We start walking away. And I'm like, come on, Mom. Come on, because I had to bring my mom to the meeting because I had to be there in 10 minutes. So just follow the pattern here. Okay. And whether you've got this anxiety pattern or you've got another one, you have language over it. So mine is hurry up. Hey, we got to hurry up. We got to move. That's exactly what it is. We got to move. Ash, got to move. Ash, we got karate. Got to move. Mom, we got to move. Right. And she's like, I know. She's like, we're always in a hurry. Like, and I'm like, I know, but that's because I'm working. I got stuff to do. After 4 or after 3 o'clock, we're not in a hurry. But the truth is we still are. Because we're running to the pool before the sun goes down. We're going to grab dinner after I drop the kid off. You know what I mean? Like there's like, it's like this. Are you guys following me here? So I'm noticing this. I would say the Holy Spirit is working with me because I'm breaking it. What are you breaking right now? That if you didn't put I'm right and justified for doing this, acting like this and being this, call yourself out right now. What is it? What is it? Like go in the chat and call yourself out. I promise you, if you can let go of the hold on justifying why you're like that, you are going to excel. Because let me tell you something about building businesses. You must let go of the anxiety around making a decision. When I say money loves speed, I'm saying money loves speed because you can make decisions fast. However, if you can't handle the pace of your life and you have an angst level of hurry, you have to make one of two decisions, and I challenge you on this. Okay, all next week we're going to work on revenue generating. This week it's around your leadership and around your action taking. And I'm telling you, we can have the best year of our lives if we're willing to change our identity and who we are, because it will change the way people interact with us and it will change our experience in life, right? If you're hearing yourself saying, I need to have more fun, I need to hang out with more people, I know I need to change some of the people I hang out with, but like, how are you going to do that? If you're like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, what are you valuing and what has become a part of you that almost you just justify it? So then I get done with my corporate coach meeting and then I get in my house, and because, again, poor Shanda, like first world problems here, but I've got to I want to tell y'all, I did not burn the pizza today, the cauliflower pizza. For all you guys who know, that's really funny. I burn the pizzas all the time. I might get 1 or 2 in an entire year that I don't burn. Today was one of those good days. My son got a cauliflower pizza and everybody clapped in the house. So because I made it and it did not burn. Okay, but I run in the house. I chug down my water. I put the distiller water on. I put the pizza. I know some of my parents out there can relate. And I'm still in this hurried energy. Now, I create content very, very well. So my content's created for this week and next week. So in my head, I don't have to worry about it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, because I've got you handled. Because God forbid I ever let you down. Do you know what I mean? Meanwhile, behind closed doors, I'm running at 1,000,000 miles a minute, which is why I take the last week of every month off, because I haven't seen the blind spot. And I can directly correlate making more money, having more fun, and being a nice person to managing my energy by taking the last week of the month off. That's what I call flex week, right? You'll never see me go live on the last week of the month. Okay. And if you ever do, and it's not like a casual by a pool or something like that, call my tushy out, but you won't see it, right? It's like, I need that space to unwind. Do you know what I mean? To just kick it, go get my nails done, go get my hair done, get a massage. I'm doing a crazy, I can't remember what it's called. I'm not doing a laser, but I'm doing something on my skin at the end of the month because I refuse to put fillers or Botox. If you do, it's okay, but I don't want to do that to my skin, right? And so I did Botox and I get a dent in my forehead like 2 days later, like I'm saying a significant dent. And I'm just pretty sure that there's something really bad about that. Like I could actually put my fingers in it, and it freaks me out. So I'm like, okay, how can I eat healthy, do all those things, and then put Botox in my skin? And so it just isn't happening. So I found a treatment that I'm doing on my face. So for sure I won't be going live unless I'm showing you my crazy face at the end of the month, but I'll be down for like 4 days where you won't be able to see my face. So, but that's what I'm doing on Flex Week. Right? And I'll probably create content. And Sherry's doing it too. So she's going to come to my house or I'm going to go to hers and we're going to work on passive income. Right? And these are the weird things I do. Right? Like I actually like this stuff. How do I figure out how to create more passive income? What do I need to do? It gives more meaning to what I'm doing. Does that make sense, you guys? So I'm going to end this slide by saying you either have to take things off your plate, because if you have areas that you tend to be negative in, or you use language that locates you, do you understand what that means? Like your language locates you. Okay. So when I say we got to move, all I'm doing is strengthening a very, very hurried energy around me. And I'm telling you, I always say to myself, somebody's doing this better. Somebody's a billionaire doing this better and still present with their kids and still present with their husband. You know what I mean? I'm happy to say I am those things, but it's because I chunk time off. When I am working, the 15 days a month that I'm working, I am very unavailable until about 3 or 4 o'clock. Like you can't come talk to me. You can't anything. I'm moving at about warp speed 50. And if you get in my way, I'm going to go over you. Does that make sense? And it's worked up until this point, but I can see how it's actually stealing. It's actually stealing some of my joy, and it's having me clobber people who are not working at my pace without meaning to. And I clobber them with my short answers. Does that make sense, you guys? So hopefully this transparency can help you look at you, because the whole game is not the shame game. The whole game is truly, my friends, what needs to shift that is a blessing that you're seeing, because you will treat a blessing in you so much different than you will ever treat a moment of, I need to change in a negative way. Like I need to grind it out and make myself become somebody else. Like that's hard. But when you see the value in it, well, change starts to happen earlier. So the way that you change, and I'll end on this, is you have to make a decision. Can you handle your life? Right? Like I wrote to myself, I was like, all right, Shanda, like What slips in your language that is sabotaging you? Gotta move. We always gotta move. Gotta move. Right? I'm handling a lot of things. Gotta move. Right? I don't have time for that. Gotta move. I want to know the details. Gotta move. Right? Like, and it clobbers people. Does that make sense? Especially for people who have a need to express or land. It's like, I gotta move. Right? So either you set up the communication so that you can lead the environment where people feel like they can fit into it, because you're in team with some people you can't take out of the team. Does that make sense, you guys? Like, there's some people you don't want to and you can't. You know what I mean? Out of your life. And then there's other people you can, and that's a whole nother live around team building. But you got to ask yourself, first of all, I say to my husband, I say the areas that you want to change in that you know are hurting you, pray and ask God to change it. That's where my spiritual side comes in. I never used to do that, even when I was spiritual, even when I was, going to church, whatever I was doing. I never thought, I always prayed for things or tried to manifest things that I wanted. It didn't dawn on me to ever pray to change me. I prayed to change a lot of other people. But that again comes down to your perception of not accepting. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're the problem. Everything has changed years and years ago when I made a decision that I was going to own the fact of every relationship in my life. And that's where Hardcore Leadership is extraordinary. I think it went in today, right? We have a training that went in today. And it's just the best gift you could ever give your life. How many of you guys have done HCL, right? Like, off the charts. It's the best gift you can give yourself. However, that being said, that's one of the things that shifted for me, is really owning my life. Secondly, so if you don't want to pray, I'm going to say, write down the cost that other people are paying for being in relationship with you. It's a big one. Like, literally put yourself in the shoes of the people who have to be in relationship with you. And what would they say about you? Right? What would they say it was like being in relationship with you? And not from a condemning place, because that's the work of hell, right? There's a lot of spiritual people that love to do the work of hell, right? Like, let's not do that. It's not beneficial. Putting shame on somebody or feeding shame onto our kids or our friends, family members, that's just, you're not working for the right team if you're expanding that, and you got to stop, right? So if you write down the cost, some of you guys will shift by really just writing. There's something about writing it down. What is the cost other people are paying because of a sabotage you're doing? And I would look at that cost every day. Like, I would write it, frame it, look at it every day. So it is a constant reminder to value shifting, and you'll shift. For some of you guys, you'll shift, not everybody. The last thing is if you can't shift, you might have to consider giving some things up in your life. And that is not coaching I have ever given in my entire life. But for some of you, if you're not going to rise up, then you have to really consider either go to joinhclnow.com and get your butt in the next training in March and take care of yourself because you need some help, joinhclnow.com, or take some things off your plate. You know what I mean? Because I believe it's real easy to be a great person when you're not playing a big game. But when you're playing a big game, there's going to be some imperfections, there's going to be some challenges, but there is a very dominant pattern that we all have right now, that if we hopefully identified it on this live, that you could go do the work that I just shared with you. Sound fair? Yes? All right, you guys. So that's how to deal with negative people, and it's how to shift a main pattern. Don't take on too many, but there's a main pattern that if you shifted it, it will affect your entire future of this year and years to come. And if you missed it, go back, re-listen to this. Simplicity works. And I'm telling you, either writing the cost down, praying about it to have the shift, and putting the cost in a frame, don't underestimate the power of you changing and how other people will change because you change, period. I've seen people go into our hardcore leadership program and come out and literally their kids say, something changed in you, Dad. Something changed in you, Mom. And it doesn't ever go back, right? I've seen people literally go from hating each other and being divorced to like enrolling your ex-spouse to go do hardcore leadership, and then all of a sudden they're remarried. Wild stuff. I know they never think they'll ever get remarried again. They don't want to, but I'm telling you, I haven't just seen this once, twice. I have seen this many times. And so what that tells me is that when we change, our experience with the people in our lives change. Our experience with money changes, our experience with love changes, our experience with valuing our body and putting good things in it. I see people lose 20, 30, I think my mom lost 25 pounds just doing the training. My point is that everything is leadership. So this isn't a pitch for the training. However, we do have a sale going on for March. And I don't know when the team's going to take it down. I think they actually have forgotten about it right now because it was a little flash sale. But if you go to joinhclnow.com, there's two options. Option number one is if you pay for the discounted program in full, we will give you a marriage training in a few days on the 20th and show you how to have a great marriage. Right? We will also give you a teen training. If you have teens in your life or nieces or nephews or whatever, we will also give you that training if you do option one. If you do option two, that's the payment plan. There are no bonuses with that. And the biggest reason for that, for all you entrepreneurs, is obviously I want to encourage the option one pay in full. It's discounted deeply for people on joinhclnow.com. However, know this, that whenever people do payment plans, you run the risk of you're the bank. And when you're the bank, some people like to default and don't do what it takes to create the results to keep their word. And so obviously the risk is so much less if people take option one, which is why I incentivize the teen training. Do you know how many phone calls I got during, the pandemic? Please create a teen training. All these kids are cutting themselves. They're doing crazy stuff. They're committing, they're taking their lives. And they're like, please do a teen training. I'm sitting there, I'll never forget driving down the street going, I don't have the bandwidth. That's a leadership problem. I knew it, but I was like, I legitimately do not have the bandwidth. I don't want to go trying selling it. I don't want to put up sales pages for it. We're busy with other things. And it was call after call, Instagram message after Instagram message. And I was like, we have to do something about this. So right now, if you go to joinhclnow.com and you take option number one, which is deeply discounted right now, we don't have another training till March, but we will give you the teen training with Michael Strasner, who, if you don't know who he is, he's an incredible leadership coach. And we will also give you a relationship training for marriage or partnership, and we'll also give you the replay for that. So you could, if you wanted to share that with some of your friends, you could be a contribution to them with that as well. So my gift to you. So joinhclnow.com. All right, you guys, I'm going to turn off the live, come to you guys on the On-Demand Mastermind. Just FYI, tomorrow my husband is coming on. And he is going to show you how you would go about approaching building somebody or contracting with somebody to own the responsibility of selling for you. How many guys would love somebody to sell for you? Put yes in the chat. Yes, absolutely you would. I mean, how much value would it create for you to not have to deal with actually having sales conversations to be able to make a difference in the world? You grow because of team. You grow very slow in isolation, in solo. You grow because of team. So I asked Ash to come and train that. And then you guys on the getgoodcoaching.com group, you guys, he will answer any of your questions. If you want to know how we recruit, how we interview, all of that type of stuff, he is an open book to share with you guys how to do that. So that will be tomorrow at 9 a.m. California time, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Instagram, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Bless you. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be streaming tomorrow. Okay. Awesome. Okay. And we can turn off social. Social, we'll see you later.